There's a moment, quiet and personal, when you feel the whisper, that inner voice that says, you were made for more than this. Or why am I putting myself through all of this? And it doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in exhaustion, in tears you can't even explain, in a question that won't go away. Is this all there is? What if I'm made to do more? What if there's something better out there for me? Welcome back to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It. If this is your first time here, welcome, because this is the space to be if you're looking to harmonize not only your career, but your life, and where we tell the truth, not just about success, but also about the soul cost of becoming someone new. And so today's episode is entitled The Courage to Change. But this episode isn't just about change. It's about the messy, beautiful, gut-wrenching decision to become who you were always meant to be, even if it breaks up with the old version of you. And so in today's episode, we're going to talk about the emotional earthquake of change and how to stay anchored, how to become an inner leader, how to love despite pressure from within ourselves and from others. And so without further ado, let's dive in and let's talk about that emotional earthquake of change. Because real change doesn't just begin with a goal. It feels like a tremor in your soul. It's a subtle yet powerful realization that something no longer fits, whether it's your career, whether it's something in your personal life or relationships in your personal life. And so when that emotional earthquake begins, the people you love, some are going to feel it. The systems you once belonged to or the organizations that you once belonged to, it could be your workplace. They'll start to resist that change. And even you, yes, you, especially you, will even start to question it. And that's what I call that emotional earthquake of change. Because not just you will feel it, but others around you will feel it. But you'll also start to feel the aftershocks of this change. And what that could look like is the guilt about leaving others behind, the grief over the version of you that stayed far too long, whether it's your career, whether it's in relationships in your personal life, or fear of becoming someone unrecognizable to those you love. And let me say this plainly. The moment you say yes to your own expansion, the world around you will shift. And that is not a sign that you're wrong or that you made a bad decision. It is a sign that you're waking up. You know, Simon Sinek said that leaders are the ones who go first. And this goes far beyond the boardroom or corporate America or working in corporations or in your business. It goes outside of that. It also goes into your personal life. And as of right now, you're leading yourself through this change. That's what we call inner leadership. And being first could look like you being the first one in your family to heal when others decided to still play the same scenarios over and over again, because this is all they know. They've never done anything else. Everyone in the family's had past traumas, but they refuse to be responsible, to take accountability of their own decisions that they're making now. And so instead of you allowing yourself to say, you know what, this is how I grew up, this is what I know, I need to break the cycle. Something may call you out and say, I need to change because what is happening right now is not working for me, it's not helping me, and I need to make a change. So sometimes that inner leadership is being the first one into healing. It means being the first one to sit down and have hard conversations that no one else wanted to have. That could be in your career. That could be in your personal life. Being the first one to go into the unfamiliar, whether it is your first one to go to college or to get a trade or skill beyond high school, or to move to a new location away from your family. That is a huge step for some of us. It could mean being the first one into a more aligned version of you and not what everyone expects for you to do. You may be walking alone, but understand you are not lost. You are rising. Now let's get real. Sometimes the resistance doesn't come from strangers. It comes from your people, family, friends, partners, spouses. They might say things like, "You've changed." "Oh, you must have forgot where you came from. Why are you making things so difficult?" But you're not changing to forget them. You're changing to become you, a version of you that you aspire to be. And yes, you will be tempted to shrink again, to go back to who you were. And you'll start to question yourself in your mind, in the dark corners of your mind. You'll start asking yourself, am I being selfish? Maybe I should just keep my mouth shut to keep the peace. Or maybe I should stay to keep the peace. What if I lose them? But ask yourself this question. What's the cost of staying in a version of myself that I've already outgrown? And during that earthquake or during that storm, it's going to be rocky. It's going to be tumultuous. But I want to share some things with you to help you anchor yourself through the change. The first thing is to ground yourself through this transformation with tools. And the reason why I wanted to come up with this particular podcast episode is because this is what I'm going through now. I'm having to deal with the courage to change some things in my personal and professional life. But more importantly, in my personal life. I'm doing both, but more so in my personal life. And so when I break these things down in the process of what I'm going through right now, the first thing I have to do, and I want to share these with you, there's 5 steps to this, is 1, name the fear. Ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? And call it out. Is it rejection? Am I afraid of rejection? Am I afraid of judgment? Am I afraid of being misunderstood? Because it's not just the fear of change. It's the fear of being abandoned, rejected, misunderstood. You got to speak that fear. You got to name it and then face that fear. I love Kobe Yamada's book, What Do You Do with a Problem? I love that book. It's a children's book, but I love it. So timeless. And even though it's a picture book for children, it applies to us as adults. And it's only until we can face that fear when we start to conquer that fear and get over it. The next step is own your why. It's not enough to just to grow to escape something. You have to grow because you're changing with purpose, peace, and power. Growth with no direction becomes chaos. So if you anchor yourself in purpose, you have to ask yourself, am I running from something or am I reaching toward something? Setting and creating emotional boundaries is also key because you can love people and still say, you know what, this path is mine to walk. And their discomfort doesn't mean your decision is wrong. You don't need to convince anyone to validate your growth. Let their discomfort be their discomfort, not your burden. Let me say that again. Let their discomfort be theirs. They own that discomfort. It's theirs. But don't let their discomfort be your burden. Then there's that inner other piece. Ooh, this one's going to be hard because this is where we have to grieve the older version of us. That version of us that people were comfortable with. That older version did their best. But now it is time for her to rest. That version of you that served a purpose and she survived what she had to at that point in time. But now you got to let her rest. And then finally is seek alignment over approval. Not everybody will clap and applaud for you. And that's okay because you're not here to entertain. You're not building a fan club. You're building a life, your life. And so you're here to evolve. Now, you may say, SaCola, that's all well and good, But what happens when the old you starts fighting the new you? And let me tell you something, change is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. So even after the boundary, the goodbye, the brave decision, there's still going to be those echoes. There's still going to be those second guessing thoughts in your mind that says, was I too much? Maybe I should have waited. What if they change after I'm gone? But change, like I said, isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. You got to wake up every day and stay in alignment with that change. Even when nostalgia shows up and knocks on your door with the bouquet of flowers of fear in their hand. So imagine nostalgia is knocking at your front door with a bouquet of beautiful flowers. And I call those the flowers of fear, and going, hey, remember me? Remember all the things we used to do? Because our minds are wired to be so comfortable. We want comfort. And so here's a way that I want you to do this. I want you to first ask yourself, is your desire to change rooted into proving something or pursuing something deeper? And even if no one else approves, will you still be proud of who you're becoming? So ask yourself those questions. Am I pursuing something deeper? And even if I don't get approval from anybody, will I still be proud of who I'm becoming? And another thing you can do is to write a letter to the version of you who stayed too long, that former version of you that you're grieving. I want you to thank them in that letter because they did what they needed to do at that time. If you lived your life in fight or flight mode, you were in survival mode, hustling mode, whatever mode that was, thank them because they showed up and they were there when you needed them to be there. But now it is time to release them with love. Send them a thank you letter and a farewell note. But now, does letting go mean bitterness? It doesn't. So what happens when the ones who resist your growth are the ones who raised you? Ooh, that's a tough one. Because you would say, well, they're my family. They raised me. This is all I know. Or the ones who said, I'm your ride or die. They'll be there and they will love you no matter what. Iyanla Vanzant teaches that it takes more courage to let go than to keep trying to fix it. And I have that issue. I'm that type of person who would sit up here and have hope after hope, endless hope, and would try to fit a square peg in a round hole, even if that meant I had to round off the edges of that square to fit into a round hole. But listen, I also felt that if I needed to cut off someone and let go of someone, that means that I completely cut you off. Letting go doesn't mean hate. Letting go doesn't mean blaming others or blaming yourself. Letting go means freedom. And you can love people, but still leave that dynamic. I can love you from afar. I can love you from a distance. There's no hatred in my heart. Some who pray, you can pray for them while protecting your peace. For those who don't pray, the important thing, protect your peace. Hold space in your heart for them, but without sacrificing your soul. Because at the end of the day, you don't owe your future to the version of who you kept the peace by staying small. Let me say that again. You don't owe your future to the version of you who kept the peace by staying small. You can still love someone and outgrow that relationship. Now, if this episode finds you at a crossroads between the familiar and the free version of yourself, know this. You don't need everyone's support to grow. You don't need to be understood to change. You just need the courage to say, I'm willing to rise, even if I rise alone. And trust me, you won't be alone. Sometimes the people that you have in your life, they don't want to applaud you and see you grow. Sometimes they're hesitant to see you grow and change because this is something that they know, they're familiar with, and it scares them. Doesn't mean they don't love you. It just makes them a little bit uncomfortable. And while you're rising, you'll find other people, other members of your tribe that will support the newer version of you. And if this message met you in the middle of a quiet storm that you're going through right now of change, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone you love, someone who needs the reminder that it's okay to outgrow people, places, and even versions of ourselves. Subscribe, leave a review, and always remember to work it, live it, own it, because the world needs more brave people. People who are brave enough to change and bold enough to lead with love. Until next time, take care. See you in 2 weeks.